Salesforce shares are up just around 1%. The company, a big day, though, completing its $27.7 billion acquisition of Slack. Now, we want to get to Julia LaRoche, who is joined by Salesforce COO and President Bret Taylor. Julia?
Well, thank you so much, Shauna. And Bret Taylor, great to have you on the program again. And I've been wanting to talk to you ever since the third quarter conference call of last year when Mark Benioff revealed that when you and Stuart Butterfield of Slack presented this vision for him, he talked about being immediately sold. So I kind of want to go back to the genesis of the deal. What did you and Stuart recognize and then pitch to Mark Benioff at Salesforce to make this record acquisition?
Well, thank you for having me, Julia. What we saw in Q3, I think, has even been amplified since then, which is we're in an all digital work anywhere world, and we're not going back. Salespeople aren't just getting on airplanes to sell in conference rooms anymore. They're selling via Slack and Zoom. Call centers that used to be in buildings are now in the cloud, and if you're trying to resolve a case, you're doing it over Slack, and if you talk to any retailer in the world and you're talking about how do they run Cyber Week with their agencies and their merchandisers, their command center for Cyber Week is inside of Slack. And so we have this vision that as every company in the world has a growth agenda right now, as this economy reopens, Slack and Salesforce, our Customer 360 platform, are really the operating system for growth in this all digital work anywhere world.
I'm actually using Slack right now as I have this conversation with my fellow host here. Bret, when we talk, we often talk about products. I know you as someone who's a big name when it comes to building products. Were you using Slack at the time and kind of had this aha moment yourself? Take us inside that conversation, the initial conversation with Stuart.
Well, first, I've known Stuart for years. I was working on social networks. He was working on social networks, and I've just been a deep admirer of him as someone who can really see the future and build it. There's few entrepreneurs of his caliber in Silicon Valley. And for me personally, just the opportunity to work with him every day is just a huge benefit of this deal. But as you said, we were users of Slack before, but we also saw so many in our customer base, like IBM, who has 380,000 employees using Slack every single day to connect to things like Salesforce, to connect over 3,000 workflows across their business. And when you look at it, it's not just a translation of the analog way of working to the digital. It's truly a transformation of the way we work. And I think as the entire world, because of this pandemic, is collectively reimagining the future of work, I think Slack really represents a best-in-class way that we can work digitally. And I think, as companies look forward in this pandemic and as we recover and as the economies reopen, every aspect of the customer, employee, and partner experience has to be reimagined. And I think Slack is the tip of that spear for every company with a growth agenda right now.
Well, I also want to bring this up with you as well. When you talk about kind of this future of work, and obviously no one saw the pandemic coming, but it kind of was this massive work from home digital experiment. Do you think you all would have done the deal at some point? Do you think it would have been inevitable if we didn't go through what we went through in the last year plus?
It's a wonderful question. My theory is that this pandemic didn't create new digital trends, it accelerated them, sometimes by a decade. I think that with all these new digital tools, aspects of our lives had already been digitized. Aspects of commerce had already been digitized. But just to give you one example of that, in 2019, around Thanksgiving, we talked about Black Friday and we talked about Cyber Monday. Last year, we just talked about Cyber Week. And to me, that just represents the digitization of the economy. And I think that the trends that Slack represented, which is really a digital HQ for your company. Our HQs aren't in San Francisco and New York anymore. They're in the cloud. I think that would have happened, but I think it happened about a decade sooner because of the pandemic. And I think it's really driven home for every single one of our customers that we need to digitize, and we need to digitize quickly. So I think Slack's relevance certainly was heightened by the pandemic. And as we reopen the economy and all of our customers deal with this digital imperative, Slack and Salesforce's Customer 360 could not be more relevant at this moment in time.
I think all of us agree 100% that Slack and digital platforms like this make work in some ways more efficient. But how, when you talk about customer 360, how do you address the issues that many of us get inundated between email, text, and Slack? For instance, today had an issue that involved 3 different people, 3 different Slacks, and it ended with saying, oh, you know what expletive, let's just get on the phone. How are you going to improve it?
It's a wonderful question. What I would tell you is, when this pandemic happened, it happened so quickly, and most of us simply translated the way we were working before to the digital world. Maybe you had a meeting that was in a conference room and you moved it to video conferencing. I really think the new way of working is transforming the way we work, moving to more asynchronous forms of communication, really integrating all of your employees, all of your customers, all of your partners, all of your applications into really a single source of truth for your business. And, I think right now, many of us are sort of in this awkward middle ground, where we have all these digital tools, but we haven't actually transformed our company cultures. And I think that's really the opportunity for leaders right now. And you're seeing this all over. CEOs coming out, some of saying, you have to come to the office, other CEOs saying, there is no office. I think we're in this grand period of experimentation. But the thing I can tell you is the future of the work has not been written yet, and our cultures are being redefined before our eyes. And I think Slack and Customer 360 play a big part in that. And I think it's an opportunity for leaders to step up right now too, and really define the culture they want to have on the other side of this digital revolution we've had this past year.
Bret, what are you hoping to see just in terms of growth numbers from Slack? Because I know that there was some concern ahead of this deal that some of those numbers were slowing. And then also just to that point, I guess, how does this better position Salesforce against some of the competitors out there, and specifically a big name like Microsoft, which has a big presence in this space?
We're really excited about the prospect for growth in Slack. I think the opportunity that we've seen at Salesforce with our previous acquisitions like MuleSoft and Tableau is our ability to take these incredible technologies, package them up as a solution to help our customers with their most strategic digital transformations. I think a great example of this, as I mentioned on our Q1's earnings calls, in Q1, 8 of our top 10 deals included Tableau, and 5 of our top 10 deals included MuleSoft. We've taken these technologies, we really integrated them into our value proposition. And I think that's a real opportunity when we bring Slack into Salesforce to really accelerate the opportunities for Slack. And as it relates to competition, we really are looking at it differently. We're really driven by our customers, and we think that's the way that we win. We're relentlessly focused on the success of our customers. And, we think that right now, when you look at the digitization of the economy, from the employee experience all the way through the customer experience, by focusing on bringing Slack together, the Customer 360, helping every sales team in the world, every customer service team in the world, every marketing team in the world transform themselves, will not only help our business, but help our customers accelerate and find success in this new normal.
Bret Taylor, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today, COO and President of Salesforce. And of course, our thanks to Julia for bringing this interview to us.